For Unit 2's discussion, I want to talk about the Hispanic experience of the U.S. colonial attitudes, as well as the cultural values, simply because I feel like they tie in together. So, Puerto Rico was firstly known for the rich natural resources they had, while maintaining itself economically good. I find it upsetting how the U.S. is seen as the country that is always trying to benefit itself, and they don't really process the consequences of their actions and how that affects others when they make decisions. For example, later on in the mid 20th century, Puerto Rico was considered to be one of the poorest countries in the Caribbean, and it was said that it was the United States' fault for mismanaging the island's economy. And because of that, the US government passed the Jones Act to grant Puerto Ricans citizenship. However, it was believed they did that to be able to recruit them for military service. And then comes the second economic crisis, when Puerto Ricans were forced from the countryside to the cities, where they were trying to solve that unemployment problem on the island, but they still weren't able to. And once again, I feel like the U.S. is doing all these dramatic changes simply to benefit themselves, and I feel like they're always taking the U.S. a priority instead of simply focusing on certain issues and trying to resolve it without thinking of how can I benefit from this. And then comes the issue of the colonizers using the island's residents for medical tests. So the women were simply given a pill so they wouldn't get pregnant, and they weren't informed about the side effects that it had. And that's crazy for me to think about, because the pill back then had a lot more hormones than a pill does in today's day. So I can't imagine how the women back then had to cope within themselves, going through all of that. I also wanted to talk about the cultural values Puerto Ricans have. I've been knowing that family always comes first to them, and second would be the pride that they carry within their culture. For example, the U.S. mandated to have English established as the first language for Puerto Rico, but the people were standing firm on having their own language there. And because of the so much pride that they have, that they want to pass that from generation to generation, they did not let the US take over for that. And because of that, I admire the Puerto Ricans, because I feel like they feel trapped or limited, and I know that they didn't choose to live that certain way, and they did go through a lot of struggles, but with with all that they had to experience, they were capable of keeping their culture and staying identified.